RG Cube has been out for about 2 months now, and I've had the device for about the same amount of time as well. And I just wanted to go ahead and give my thoughts and an update on the RG Cube. If you remember, I did a video about 2 months ago and I said I really did enjoy the device, but now that 2 months has passed, has my opinion changed? Well, let's go ahead and find out, and let's talk about the RG Cube again. So first things first, I am going to say that I actually haven't had the device for 2 months. Kind of weird, right? Well, it's a long story, but let me go ahead and dive into that story before I give this update. Little after a month after I had the device, I had an issue with the RG Cube. The bottom piece, or rather the bottom side of the touchscreen just pretty much stopped working, meaning I couldn't access anything that was on the bottom of that screen. If I had to go ahead and try to tap on something or anything in that area, I just couldn't do anything at all. And what was worrisome is that over time, the actual issue started progressing. It actually started raising higher and higher on the screen, making it even more difficult to go ahead and tap on icons on the screen. Yeah, you could go ahead and use the controls all around, but I was so used to navigating with the touchscreen. Not only that, wanting to go ahead and type on the keyboard was pretty much impossible because some parts of the touchscreen were just not working. I went to Reddit and asked a couple people and see if they had any updates or any thoughts, or if anybody else had this same issue. Sure enough, nobody else seemed to have this issue. Also went ahead and did post on X as well, and I got 0 replies, which unexpected, or rather is expected because I don't have that many followers. But was hoping for somebody to go ahead and just give some type of reply and say they had the same issue and they were able to fix it. I didn't really want to go ahead and contact Anbernic themselves because in the past I've heard that if you've had issue on their devices, they just basically send you a replacement piece and you have to go ahead and do everything yourself. And I just didn't really want to go ahead and open up my RG Cube and go ahead and just replace the touchscreen or anything like that. I didn't feel like doing that. But sure enough, I went ahead and contacted Anbernic, and by my surprise, they actually went ahead and told me to send back the old one and they will send me a brand new one. Now this process did take some time, but none of it was Anbernic's fault. They were actually pretty quick to go ahead and send me a return label. I went ahead and shipped it out. And by the time they received it, I did ask them, okay, they've already received it. What's the next step? They already went ahead and basically sent me back a new one. Now, when it came to getting it back, it took quite some time. Again, not Anbernic's fault, but the fault of the post provider because, yeah, it went over to where I lived and then went away from where I lived and then came back. So I had to wait an extra week. So I was about a month without the RG Cube. But once I received it back, I went ahead and did the whole setup process all over again and started playing around with it to kind of see, did my thoughts change? I will admit, negatively speaking, it did affect me because of the touchscreen issue. And I was actually worried that this issue might happen again. So I've only had it back for about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks now. And I'm still kind of worried that later on will this issue arise because it took about a month for it to just randomly happen. Again, I'm very careful with my devices. I do have a case, and usually when I'm done with it, I put it back in my case with no issues. But this just randomly started on its own, and like I said, the issue progressed over time and got a lot worse. So far, as of right now, I can safely say that I really do enjoy the device. Going back to it and playing games, such as games from the SNES or even the PS1 era, it feels right at home. I will admit that once I played with the RG Cube, it was hard to go and do emulation back on my Steam Deck. Mainly being that this is a very small compact device and I really liked holding it in my hands. But not only that, that 1x1 display just really helped out when it came to DS games, 3DS games, or even older like Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. It just looked really, really good, and I really enjoyed that screen. Performance-wise, I tried doing some updates to see if I can get a little bit more performance out of it, and sure enough, like I mentioned last time, it would only do some GameCube and some PS2. Some GameCube games I do have issues where it just does not perform perfectly, and while PS2, very similar reasons, I really just stuck to playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses because That's really the only game that seemed to work perfectly fine. All the other games that, at least that I have, just did not work great. From Soul Calibur 3 to games like Naruto, just all of them were having not very little, but rather a lot of issues in terms of performance. So I just kind of left it like that. GameCube was the same, still very similar issues, but GameCube can push out a little bit more than PS2 as far as the library that I have and the games I have on there. But I was still very satisfied with this device. Of course, when it came to GBA, Game Boy, SNES, Sega, or even Dreamcast, any of those things, all of them worked perfectly fine, at least for me. Was able to play Sonic Adventure no problem, as well as some other games such as Capcom vs. SNK. These games all worked perfectly fine. I had really no issues playing with those. So to kind of get straight to the point, yeah, I really do think that I was very fair on my earlier review, and I do think that this is a device that a lot of people will like. But now I feel that the situation might change a little bit. Retroid has announced the new Retroid Pocket Mini, which seems to be maybe about the same size as the RG Cube, maybe a little bit bigger. It has a 4x3 display and with an OLED display at that, which will make the colors pop. And that's a device that I'm really looking forward to, and I know a lot of people are. I've already ordered mine and just waiting to get it in so I can do a review on that. But now there's a competition for this form factor. If you remember in my last video with the RG Cube, I was talking about I want the perfect companion. And to me, the perfect companion is something smaller than the Steam Deck, a lot more compact that could put that can go ahead and put in a small like sling bag or anything like that and just carry it around normally without taking up too much space, because the Steam Deck, as you know, is pretty huge and I don't always carry that around with me. The Retroid Pocket Mini seems to be the best option as of right now, but of course I don't have it in my hand, so I can't really say that yet. Like I said, I do have one coming in, just waiting for it to arrive. Once it arrives, I'll go ahead and do a deep dive, play around with it, and then definitely give my thoughts and compare it to this. I also do have the AyaNeo Pocket Micro, which is another smaller device that packs a lot of punch, according to the specs at least. That I do have coming in as well. Fortunately, when it comes to that, AyaNeo said that I gotta wait till mid-October to receive my unit, so I'll be waiting for that. But this puts the small form factor that I've been talking about with a lot of competition, because typically when it came to this size of a device, a lot of the emulation devices just, well, they're not that powerful. Maybe they can do like Game Boy or Game Boy Advance, but that's about it. When it came to pushing GameCube, Wii, or even PS2, pretty much they tend to struggle when it came to those games. But the two other devices that I just mentioned seems to be able to go ahead and handle PS2, Wii, and GameCube with no problem, and of course they can handle anything before that with no problem as well. Not to mention price point, they all seem to be around $200, give or take, somewhere around there, which puts it very competitive when you compare those three devices. So yeah, overall, my thoughts on the RG Cube stay the same. I still very much really do enjoy this device, and I will continue to play it. Of course, when those other devices come in, I will definitely give an updated review on those, or rather I'll do a review on those and also compare them to this. So I'll have quite a few videos coming out with doing comparisons and all that other good stuff. And in the end, I will give my answer on what I felt is the perfect companion device when it comes to having a companion to the Steam Deck that can handle emulation with no problem. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 2,000 subscribers, so very close on that. Definitely go ahead and share the channel. That does help out a lot. And also join me with my live streams. I have some live streams that happen Thursday and Friday, and we are moving back the podcast to Sunday. So definitely you can catch us every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about pretty much all the latest in gaming news. My name is James. I'll catch you guys next time.